Sons of the Forest is the much-anticipated sequel to the horror survival game The Forest. Despite being announced a few years ago, Endnight Games has been as silent as a spooky forest at night, with very little marketing or reveals for the game. Sons of the Forest is the sequel to Endnight's terrifying survival horror game The Forest, which was released back in 2018. The Forest was a pretty big success, receiving positive reviews and selling over 5 million copies over the course of 4 years. That's no easy feat for a new horror title that isn't a sequel of some kind to an earlier game. Anyone who enjoys open-world survival games has probably played or at least heard about The Forest, an ultimate top-of-the-line game that received universal acclaim for its gameplay and plot when it was published back in 2012. So, how about it? Its sequel is coming out, and it's not that far away either. Sons of the Forest release date has been revealed by the developers and publishers, Endnight Games Limited, and none of the fans can wait for it to drop. A horror open-world survival game that will surely pump your heartbeat. If you enjoyed playing The Forest, then you will love Sons of the Forest even more. The former quickly became a fan favorite, and the developers are aiming for the same with the latter. It's going to be more wild, freakish, and spooky. That being said, it's bound to be an amazing journey completing the storyline. Endnight Games has revealed a brand new trailer for their upcoming open-world survival horror game Sons of the Forest, with the trailer being capped off with the announcement of the highly anticipated title's release date. The brand new trailer decides to skip past the player character crashing into the titular forest that has been shown in the previous trailer and gets right into the survival action. The trailer shows the player creating a tent and small fire on the beach before making some makeshift hunting gear and finding themselves something to eat, in this case a turtle. The trailer eventually makes its way from the beach to the forest, where the player confronts the enemies of the game. Sons of the Forest also shows off a number of areas that you will be able to explore, from a dark, shark and mutant-invested caves to some sort of underground facility. The trailer ends with a first-person cutscene, teasing what the story the game will have in store for players, though it doesn't show too much. Sons of the Forest was announced back at the Game Awards 2019, and though it has received a few trailers since then, details of the upcoming title have been few and far between, with it currently unknown when or where it takes place in relation to its predecessor. The game is a follow-up to the highly popular 2014 indie game The Forest, which sees players attempting to survive in a forest filled with mutated creatures after waking from a plane crash, something that this game seems to be continuing the tradition of, though this time it was a helicopter. The next entry in the series promises to bring in a host of improvements to both mechanics and graphics, with more dynamic weather effects and new survival options among them. 2 trailers have released for Sons of the Forest, each delivering just the slightest hint of what is in store for players. The game was first announced at the 2019 Game Awards, along with a trailer that showed a military unit's helicopter being brought down by mutated creatures. Right away, this trailer was teeming with more of an action-oriented atmosphere than the first installment. The monsters pick the professionals off one by one, and the segment ends with a horrifying close-up reveal of one of these eyeless enemies. While that first trailer was low on plot, it got fans excited for more. After a year of very little new information on the game, a second trailer finally released in December 2020. This video shows off more of the sequel's gameplay, including a tense firefight against a group of slow-moving mutants and a demonstration of the protagonist's crafting and survival abilities, like chopping trees and digging. It also may provide the clearest idea yet of who the main characters of the game will be, including an unexpected ally. While we don't currently have an official word on Sons of the Forest's platforms, we can make some decent assumptions based on the first game. The Forest was released on PC, followed by a PlayStation 4 port. It should be safe to assume that we'll see the sequel on both of those platforms. However, hopefully it'll make it to more platforms, considering how well liked the original game was. So, we can see the character holding a weapon in his hands, to proceed with. Afterwards, he is seen building some sort of a tent and igniting a fire. There's not a lot of food on the island, so he has to hunt down a turtle to keep up. Didn't need to eat it raw though. Anyway, we then see a mannequin hanging and birds pegging it. The trailer continues and now the cannibals can be seen and we have an axe in hand to defend. The trailer also shows night scenes and not gonna lie, it looks really scary. We further see the use of tasers, a skull that scares the ugly beasts, a mask, and a crossbow. We also get to see a weird creature that has conjoined torsos, Virginia, the multi-limb woman, and a monster that is literally throwing dead mutant babies. Check out all 3 trailers to see all of this for yourself in order to get the real feel of the game. The sequel has a lot of advantages over its prequel, of course. The graphics are way better and the gameplay looks more clean and smooth. It's obvious since there is a gap of 8 years between both parts. The AI of the game will be much more advanced, and the behavior of the characters according to their mood will have a great role to play. Moreover, there have been advancements in the forest as well. New characters have been added along with some new locations. The digging and crafting have been upgraded, and now you can make better equipment, walls, benches, armor, etc. We have a laboratory where you can design new items using the scanner. Digging has been added, and the devs have said certain traps will also benefit from digging. You can also dig into some cave entrances, and possibly bury bodies if we can get that looking good. Besides, you will be having multiple weapons in your arsenal. The gameplay, obviously, is going to have a first-person perspective, so it won't be really hard to get a grip on it. However, it is not going to be just a first-person shooter. There are many more aspects to the game apart from the weapon fights. Sons of the Forest game modes will include a multiplayer one as well. Here, you can play alongside 3 different people and survey the entire island, protect each other, build items cooperatively, make your plans together, and much more. Just stay as a group and survive the forest. Unlike the forest, where we will be engaging with far more vicious enemies and beasts, most of the old ones will return, but there is an entry of the latest creepies as well. The cave cannibals are the second group. They're a bit indolent and won't get into too many fights. The majority of them may be found in caves. Lastly, we have the strongest cannibals, the masked ones. They will be hostile not only towards you but also towards other cannibals. Their whole tribe wears a golden mask, and if you somehow 3D print it, they won't attack you but rather take your side. Apart from them, there will be more mutants as well. We can see fingers and twins in the latest trailer alongside a blob-like creature that was throwing dead mutant babies. In addition, there is a shark that can be aggressive but can also be killed. The weaponry includes shotguns, grenades, explosives, combat axes, tasers, pistols, and surprisingly, a guitar. These can be seen in the trailers, but we can expect more additions once the game officially launches. Nonetheless, all of them can do a lot of damage and are necessary for staying alive in the environment we will be in. Regardless, keep one thing in mind. You will be having very low ammo on the guns. The game focuses more on melee combat rather than using bullets. Therefore, saving them for an emergency will be beneficial. Endnight Games Limited will only release the game for PC at this time. However, there's no need to be disappointed based on their recent track record. The Forest was first launched on PC by the developers, though it was quickly followed by PlayStation and Android. Sons of the Forest looks to be reviving many of the gameplay elements that worked in the Forest, judging from the trailer and comments made by the developer. Players will have to survive the wilderness and the constant threat of attack by crafting different items and finding shelter. In addition to the day and night cycle from the first game, Sons of the Forest will feature new weather mechanics that are sure to add a bit of challenge. According to the developers, the terrain can freeze and become covered in snow, making traversal more difficult. It remains to be seen how these elemental changes might affect the player's weapons and items. Speaking of weapons, fans of the first game have taken note of the guns seen in the trailer. Ben Falcon explained that although guns can be used, ammo is extremely scarce. This means players will still have to rely heavily on melee combat, as well as all new traps and defenses that can be built using supplies found on the island. The much anticipated Sons of the Forest release date is set for 20th of May, 2022, as revealed in the latest trailer of the game, a month and a half ago. This is all we knew about the Sons of the Forest release date and its details. The game is bound to succeed looking at its forerunner and what we can see from the trailers. It's just a matter of days now before we get our hands on it and the addiction grows. As always, thank you for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe for more contents.